All right, listen, brother. Yeah, that's something I've been doing a lot. The Hulk Hogan experience bit, which I mentioned on the last stream. I think that's where I was getting started, and I didn't fully flesh it out on there. I still been doing that voice all the time. It's basically Hulk Hogan on as Joe Rogan hosting the Joe Rogan experience. Douglas Murray, brother. How are you doing? Hulk, I'm glad to be here, and I want to talk to you today about Israel. Uh, yeah, that's something that I'd like to get into. But have you ever smoked DMT? Wait, I'll get the Hulk Hogan voice back. I don't really remember this one. This course. Oh yeah, no, I do. Red carpet. Listen, brother. The Trump tariffs are going to have a major impact on my lifestyle. I might have to come out of retirement, they say. So I was going to go on a hunting expedition, a hunting trip for elk. We're going to hunt for elk for 6 days. So I call up my bandana guy, and he says, "What can I do for you, Hulk?" I go, "Listen, I need like 982 bandanas for my 6-day expedition." I was like, I'm fucking dying here. And he's like, "Listen, Hulkamania, I can't do it, brother." I said, "Well, what do you mean? Do you need me to order a lot of 1,000 bandanas?" I was like, "I don't need that many, but I guess I could plan a week out in advance and help you out there, brother." He said, "No, listen, I'm sold out of bandanas." "What do you mean you're sold out?" He says, "Hulk, listen, dude, the ships from China, they're not coming." It's like, there's a 500% tariff on bandanas and sleeveless t-shirts. And I said, 500%? He's like, yeah. I said, even if you can get bandanas, you're not going to get them for months, possibly years, unless you're willing to pay through the nose. Even then, it's going to be a delay. And I said, listen, I'm hunting elk, and all my bandanas are currently sweaty and disposed of. And you can't go hunting elk when they smell you from a mile away. The scent of the bandana sweat will drive them off. I guess I should not close my eyes and laugh, because I run into a wall. And that got me thinking, like, I could go on eBay and order. If I want a sleeveless t-shirt, I could go on eBay and order one of those World Gym t-shirts with the gorilla on it. But they're used, and they're stained in 35 years worth of D-ball sweat from a former steroid bodybuilder who, died of a heart attack 35 years ago. And I'm seeing you might think I'm wealthy, but if I see a quadruple, a 5X in my 5X in my sleeveless t-shirt budget, I'm gonna have to go back on the road. And then I told Vince, I said, listen, brother, he said, Hulk, if you come back, I'm not with the company anymore, because of certain reasons. But he said, well, if you're gonna come back, you want me to put in a good word for you at the company, I'm going to have to show you my dildo collection, my black dildo collection. I said, listen, Vince, I don't want to see that. Well, he said, I know, Hulk, but the thing is, I can't bust unless I show you. And I said, that's it. I'm going back to WCW. And when I did that, that was actually the start of SummerSlam. That was actually the first SummerSlam ever. I've just been doing that all week. I know it's not, I can't do the Hulkamania voice because that just like, oh, brother. That raspiness. That and Alex Jones just destroys your vocal cords. I need all the help I can get with that. And then he So the regular Hulk voice, which I had down better the other day. I was doing it perfectly. Now it's just like, you gotta put, oh, I'm gay. Now it's just Obama. Folks. This is not Choco Mountain. This is not how it was in N64. Folks. Listen, brother. So I said, and Douglas Murray's just sitting there. He's like, Hulk, I thought we were here to talk about Israel. And you're sitting here talking about World Gin t-shirts. How sweaty D-ball D-ball sweat is. And how elk can smell you from miles away. I said, listen, brother. Listen, that's the thing about the DMT experience. When you break in on, I was at the Comedy Store the other night, and I was about to go on, and I'm backstage with Brendan Schaub. And I'm doing my hammer curls before I go out there. He's like, here, why don't you try this DMT? I said, oh, listen, brother, you don't have to tell me twice. So I take a hit of the DMT, and all right, I'm gonna come back. I'm not that far behind. For me, I know I'm far behind for normal people, but you have to understand I'm really bad. So I take the first hit of DMT, things start getting fuzzy, and I take another one, and I start seeing flying bats, blue bats, in a chocolate cave. Shaw looks at me. He says, "Listen, brother, you got to take one more hit." So I take a third. That's why I punched through the mandala. And then and the weight I had been hammer curling with, I didn't find this out till later. Shaw told me that I dropped the weight, and it bounced on his foot. And when I did that, it bounced on the floor, and then bounced on his foot. And, oh wow, new record. And I gave him a very deep bruise, but I punched through, brother. And it's just like Terrence McKenna said, the machine elves are excited to see you. And the thing is, they're made of language. And the machine elves are made of language, and they start hopping in and out of your chest. And when they did that, I said, "Oh, you got me, brother. Oh, you got me." And they say, "We're so excited to see you. You come so rarely." And they're meme traders, Douglas, whoever's supposed to be on the show. It's actually like, well, it's like, they're meme traders, brother. Ah, man, I wish I had his voice still. But that really pissed me off when they took me down like that. So I said, okay. They're trying to out alpha Hulkamania. And I tell them that's not going to happen. These DMT elves. So, I figure out which one I suspect is the leader and the alpha male of the group. Now, you need to understand that these brothers don't have what you would call genitalia. Once I figure that out, I go to Bangkok and I start racing. But then I pick up one of these DMT elves, and I just start having sex with it. And I'm doing hammer curls, like I'm at Gold's in Venice Beach, and I start picking up this DMT elf, and they're horrified by what they're seeing, because, listen, brother, you ever seen Hulkamania go to town? You know how I do. But what I didn't know is that they were recording, actually, because it was one of the DMT elves' wives that I was having sex with. They're like, so they put it on their version of Gawker. Apparently the DMT elves have the internet in Gawker. Well, they're made of language, brother. Hulk, what are you talking about? I said, listen, you can't just take a video of me like that. And they said, well, you were assaulting one of our people, one of our language-made elves. We're just self-transforming machine elves, self-dribbling jeweled basketballs. I said, yeah, but you invaded my privacy when you did that. And they said, oh, I guess you're right. I actually won that case, brother. Hulk, when are we going to talk about Israel? the Hulk Hogan experience. The Hulk Rogan experience. Train by day, Hulk Rogan by night. All day. Neil deGrasse Tyson, how you doing, brother? Alright, let's get to this. Why am I in a parking garage? The hell kind of level is this? There's no Thai lady boys, but you have a parking garage? This isn't realistic. See, I don't know this course, so I'm gonna screw it up. Gotta stick to what I know. The important thing, brother, is that you finish the race. You know, I sit there and I say, Vince, if you try to show me your dildo collection, we're not going to be able to do Monday Night Raw. He says, it's going to be a Raw of another time, brother. I said, oh. And that's when I became that's when I became Hollywood Hogan and went to WCW. I know nothing about wrestling. It's just funny. But you have to understand, back then, this was the 1980s, brother. And we were just getting into movies, you know. Jesse Ventura was about to do Predator, and he was telling me. He said, listen, brother, I'm going to be a movie star. I was like, okay, well, you know, that's like your opinion, and I respect it. But at the time, you know, he's auditioning for the movie Cruising with Al Pacino, the one that Al Pacino eventually got, and it was set up with the WWF at the time. You know, we were making moves to where we were going to do a movie tie-in with the movie Cruising. So Burger King was going to have a series of cups, like sort of like you peel off the piece, like the Monopoly game that eventually went to McDonald's. Okay, I guess I can't take those corners like that. The turn, and this game, you would pull off the piece, right? And if you didn't win, what would happen is the soda would spill all over your lap. So it'd be like when Officer Farva and Super Troopers got pranked and it was just a hole in his cup. But if you won the grand prize in the Cruising Burger King WWF win game, a penis would come out. It was glory hole themed. You know, we were really trying to reach out. We were the first company to actually try and reach out to the gay community, and that was it. You have to understand, at the time, Madonna, she would eventually, you know, take that demographic for herself. But really, brother, it was us wrestling. Unfortunately, the thing was, Jesse Ventura, he was auditioning for the movie Cruising, and he didn't do too well, so they gave the part to Al Pacino, and listen, I'm not a cop. I'm not a former governor or Navy SEAL. I'm here to pick up men for sexual intercourse. I don't know anything. Oh yeah? Well, I don't know anything about a serial killer striking the gay community. I'm here at this gay bar to watch fisting, to have sex, and meet a man that I can take home to my mom. This is a disaster. Shit. And, you know, when Jesse was saying he was, you know, he had to pretend to be gay, and he just kept saying that he was a former governor and a Navy SEAL, and I was like, listen, I don't think that's going to work, brother. But, and that fell through, and Al Pacino gets the part. And, well, let's be, whatever the fuck this is. Lakitu. Like Lakitu. Okay. That looks cool. Is there any difference between any of this? But the thing is, brother, I believe that we had the infrastructure in place globally to have had the same success as the same breakthrough with the gay community. Back then, we were calling it the LGBTQ+. We're going to have the same breakthrough as Madonna, brother. But he couldn't deliver those lines. And at the same time, I had been auditioning for the movie The Return of the Jedi, which George Lucas wanted me to talk and audition for him. So I said, okay, brother. He said, I'm going to bring you in to play one of the Ewoks. And then they turned out, he's like, listen, dude, you're way too tall. Maybe we can do something together in the future. And I was expecting to be in The Phantom Menace, but he said, what about the Red Tails? And I said, what's that? He said, well, there's some black pilots in WW2, and we want you to play one of the pilots, Hulk. But he said, but we ran into the same problem. And just like you're too tall to be an Ewok, you're also apparently not black. Even though you're very tan, you're not black enough to play one of the Tuskegee Airmen. And George wants it to be authentic. And my rejection for the role of an Ewok is actually how the first SummerSlam got going. You just said SummerSlam was created another time. Oh. And I thought you were Neil deGrasse Tyson. Anyway, Black Spaceman, do you think I could have played one of the Tuskegee Airmen? Yes or no? I think that would actually be offensive. Oh. Trained by day, Hulk Hogan by night. All day. Let's get serious about this. Let's get really into this.